I'll go ahead and get started. It's wonderful to be here. I want to also just mention everything we're going to be talking about today is kind of coming through, well, lots of reading, of course, but conversations, particularly with Etienne LaBelle, a former graduate student at Western, now living in Northern Ontario, probably cross-country skiing today while thinking of various ideas, and Timothy Loving, and a good friend and also a colleague. And just as a side note, I've had a lot of people actually ask me, what's in that tin? And, but then at the same time they say fair enough, they're not necessarily used to what open science looks like, so they haven't always seen it. What I want to start with here is actually, here I've been reading about open science and transparency, thinking about this. I wrote a paper on this, and then one day I stumbled across this person, Victoria Stott, working in the area of computational science, and she's been giving wonderful talks that are on YouTube since what I call like before BEM and everything else, 2010 and what have you. Wonderful speaker. And been talking about the same issues I'm going to be talking about today, just in a different field. And I encourage you to go check out her work as well. Like I say, I may as well just show her talk. It kind of fits the time slot. It'll hit all the buttons. But I have a link there, and all these slides are on my an OSF page that I have that I'll show you later, and you can go take a look at it if you like. Now here, well, in Stoughton's talk, she kind of starts off with, why should science be open? And she kind of goes on and has lots of answers for that. I want to show if this will work fine here. Bear with me. A little video. If not, I will walk you through. Circle of death. Well, you know, it's doing its thing. Just let me walk you through it really quickly because it's not that important. But what you have here is a structure, and it looks like in the middle point is up and everything else is down. And what they ended up doing in the video, which might show in a moment. It's showing on the screen here. Okay. So, sorry folks, I don't know what to do yet. I So look at this. I showed this to my kids the first time. They're using magnets. That's how they're doing it. How could this possibly be occurring? There's got to be a trick. So that's the result. That's what I'm presenting to you. Look what I can do. Now, of course, you spin this around, and very quickly you're like, oh, they went downhill. They did not go uphill. But now I know how they did it. I've seen exactly what they did to put it together, and if I watch this enough times, I can reproduce the dimensions of that structure, cut it out, tape it together, put it up, and I could now make a video showing you how balls can actually roll uphill. And as a secondary kind of lesson perhaps to take from this, or what I like to take from this, if I choose to stand as a perspective it's going to get to here in just a moment, I can continue to believe that balls roll uphill in this scenario. It takes you to move around, change your own perspective, to look at it from different points of view, and then you can start to realize, wait a minute, there's other ways of looking at this to interpret it differently. I don't think we need to watch more Minecraft videos here. My son loves Okay, I'm back. So, why should science be open? One, evaluation requires understanding the methods used. I don't know what you did. I don't want to just trust that that's how you got the result. I want to be able to see it. Reproducibility. Rich just talked about replication. In our lab, we've also conducted several replication studies of our own research as well as others. And one that we're doing right now, the original study was published in 2002. And if you can remember back that far, we still have actually stored things on disks and so on. So when we're reading through this paper, and we tried to reproduce the best as we could the replication report, meaning what did they do and how can we implement the same procedures. There's a lot of measures created by the experimenters, and they actually provided example items, but we are missing
out of about 80 or so more items that they had actually used, they'd only presented examples for about, say, 10 of them. So we're missing roughly 70 items. And so now we just weren't able to literally reproduce those scales because they're created by the researchers and not published anywhere. So we're in a situation where we can't actually replicate this research, even though we'd like to try. So imagine now the horrible scenario where the researcher dies, and now little of that knowledge can die with that person. Or the computer blows up, or some weird freak combination of the two. The point is, it's lost to science in terms of being able to reproduce that particular design. I can say the author worked with us very nicely. This person actually said, you realize how long ago we ran this. There's probably, I had to look through files and floppy disks, and I understand, I have a computer that doesn't even have a disk drive right now, so times have changed. But I can also say, because we pre-registered this, that this is now reproducible going forward because all the materials now exist in a public forum. Also, replicability. When we can reproduce the methods much better, it might be more likely to be able to replicate the original findings. Now, this isn't the only way you can think of the scientific method, but the arrows are going in all different directions, of course. But let's just consider this for a moment. We sit down with our friends, perhaps later today. We're going to have a drink, we have a napkin, we think of ideas, we start writing it down. We research existing sources, we pull up the free Wi-Fi, go into Google Scholar, see what's available. We formulate a hypothesis. Well, let's just hope that's where we formulate the hypothesis. Sometimes, we can double back and get to that, of course. Then we might design and conduct a study. Now, that can happen a week later, a month later, a year later. And designing and actually conducting the study can take a day on MTurk, it can take a week in the lab, it can take 10 years if you're following people over a prolonged period of time. There's a lot of time differences here in this process. We draw conclusions from the statistics that we chose to run, the models we choose to run, and of course, we report results. Now, it makes sense that the only time you can report the results is when you have results to report. But now, if we think of the scientific method in this way, the results and what we choose to report is coming perhaps at the end of that process. But a lot of things have happened during that process. So now we can say, well, when to share? Well, of course, results you can only share when you have them. But now what about the asking of the questions and the drawing up your hypotheses, the energy that went into doing that, all of those meetings, all of the decisions that you make, how you decided to design and conduct your study, and the conclusions that you choose to draw from the different analyses that you ran. That's a lot of valuable information there, or potentially valuable information, but we're not really reporting that. It's kind of, we just think of reporting the results usually. And we can ask, well, what to share? Well, over the years, when I went to graduate school back in the days, we still submitted 5 hard copies of manuscripts, putting figure numbers and pencils on the back of them with a disc, and we mailed it to an editor, who mailed things to reviewers, who mailed back their reviews. The U.S. postal system is probably in the tank because we now have the internet, right? So the idea was, when you're limited in what you can put in your publication, because we are, typically journals are limited by the number of pages that they're able to publish any given year, you have to choose which information goes in. It is not possible to put in a list of 50 or 60 different measures from the study, or to talk about, say, the history of the development of the research project. So, through a quirk of the publication system over the years, and the lack of technology, we tend to think, well, this is how we do publications, so that's how they must be done. But as Donahue, who was Victoria Stodden's advisor, and I'm paraphrasing her paraphrase here, the published paper is only an advertisement of the scholarship. It is not the scholarship itself. Sure, we count up publications, we even mention where they're from to give it more status and prestige, but the point is, a lot of work went into developing what it is you're putting in that publication. That's the scholarship. Just because a quirk of the publication system over X number of years made it so that we could only provide so much information in that publication doesn't mean that that is now the only representation of the scholarship. And we do have technology nowadays to do things differently if we so choose, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Also, I forgot, if we're waiting till the end of the process to report our results, and we're kind of linking back to everything else that went into that scholarship, asking the questions, searching sources, hypotheses, and so on. Now we're engaging in a lot of retrospective reporting to the extent that we didn't make detailed notes along the way. Turns out there's a whole field of study that's been devoted to biases and retrospective reporting. And of course I'm joking, they're here. It's us. We do these things. We understand that process, and we can understand that in ourselves. And as our famous physicists like to say, the first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and of course you are the easiest person to fool. Now, to change course here just for a moment, and using an earlier picture of Feynman, and I won't show this video here, but you can link to it if you want. It's about a minute and 50 seconds. He says, vague theories are good because they can never be proven wrong. So this person hates his mother. It's because he wasn't loved enough when he was a child. And he says, well, it turns out, if you look into it, he was loved very much. She was a wonderful mother. They're like, that's because she was overindulgent. And he goes, and that's the nice thing about a vague theory, because any evidence that you obtain can be made to fit those particular hypotheses that you can generate. And then he goes on to say, but here's a solution to that problem. If you could predict ahead of time how much love is not enough and how much love is too much, then you have a reasonable theory against which to test your observations. And of course, he's mocking on Freudian psychology here. But it's usually pointed out when you say this, but when you're dealing with psychological matters, you can't be so specific. And then he says, to much applause, he goes, sure, but then you can't pretend to know anything about it. And I was like, oh, ouch. I'm a relationship scientist, kind of cuts to the core. But here he is, he's talking about, to the degree that we make very vague hypotheses, these things should correlate. Then it's... we perhaps know less about it than if we could say they should correlate in a particular manner with scores in these particular ranges. Fair enough, a lot of our theories don't allow us to make those kind of specific predictions up front, but hopefully we can develop over time and agree as a field to develop this level of specificity. So theory building, I'm not going to go into this in great detail, but requires, say, testing risky predictions, or hypotheses that stand a high chance of being wrong. Being a little more specific and saying, and ahead of time, I'm going to run, here's my theory, here's my hypothesis, here's exactly how I plan to test the hypothesis with these procedures and these measures, and I'm going to use these particular measures from these procedures and look at it in this particular statistical model, and I should find this pattern of results to go back to support the hypothesis, which then feeds back to help support the theory. And so, to the degree that you're making more specific hypotheses, you have a higher degree of being wrong. When you have more vague, open hypotheses, you can kind of make the data fit those hypotheses a lot more easily, not cleanly. Now, Deutsch and Krauss, way back in 1965, I was just in my office one day and looked up and I saw this old book and I went, pulled it down, and there's this great, it's all about theories in social psychology. And they had this chapter on the nature of theory. So I was reading through, and they talked about how social psychological theories, not a criticism, mind you, rarely dictate specific hypotheses. If physicists way back in 1915 were reading about the general theory of relativity, and they understood all the equations, they'd be able to sit down and say, and all independently in their own offices, say, this is how much we should find light should bend around large objects due to gravitational forces. They'd all agree that's exactly what you'd expect to find. And then someone goes off, takes some pictures during a solar eclipse, and goes, look at that, that's what we found. Okay, that helped confirm that theory. I'm doing research right now with a postdoc on pornography consumption and perceptions of pornography from an attached theoretical perspective. I challenge anyone here who's read all of Bowlby's books to find the word pornography in the development of attachment theory. What we have instead are plausible derivations that we kind of make from the theory. And we can come up with plausible derivations or hypotheses that are actually inconsistent with each other. That's okay, it's just that there's a bit of a space between our theories and our hypotheses that you don't always find in some of the, say, natural sciences. So theory testing is hard, is what it boils down to. And I swear I put this in before I knew Mark Schaller was going to be here today. He has a fantastic paper in JSP about confirmatory research that I suggest you all read, as well as Jeff Simpson has touched on these things in talks that he's given, and in this case, a reply to someone in a chapter, I believe, about, if we can actually engage in more truly confirmatory hypothesis testing, that means more riskier hypotheses, higher chance of being wrong, but also perhaps a greater opportunity to build theory. But, not all research is confirmatory, to be perfectly fair. As a matter of fact, a lot of it may not be. We may have non-specific hypotheses. We're just curious if these things are associated with each other. We want to know what we're going to find, and that can help us move forward. That, I do that myself, of course. We can also follow data patterns. We collect some data, we're like, I didn't expect that. We should move in that direction. It'd be unfair to the data, to the scientific community, to ignore something that could be potentially valuable. Of course we need to move in that direction. So a lot of times our work is not always truly confirmatory. And this type of discovery is very important. But as Boldus and Dodge wrote in a piece in Psychometrica, sure, do whatever it is you would like to do with your data and how you run your studies. Anything you want. Just share it with everyone else. Tell them what you did. Now they can evaluate what you did based on the evidence presented. They actually went so far as to say, if you want to fraudulently create your own data set, that's okay. Just tell people that's what you've done. And then now they can evaluate the quality of that data accordingly. It's when you don't tell them, now you're trying to hide something. So I don't think they're actually advocating for faking data, but they were advocating for being more transparent with your reporting. What we're going to talk about now is doing open science. Because what I've done is suggested that it's important to know the backstory to our research, and what we can put in our manuscripts isn't always representing the full scholarship that has been put into the research. And that also, in order to develop theory and advanced theory, we need more confirmatory hypotheses, which usually I think about in terms of, say, pre-registration, or stating hypotheses in advance, or at least writing it down, putting it in a time capsule, burying it, and then digging it up when you have your data. And now you can find, wow, did I really say that? And we've done that ourselves. We're like, I can't believe we made that prediction. We should have known better. So it's amazing to see how sometimes your ideas can change over time. Now, as graduate students in psychology, we typically receive a lot of training on research methods and statistical procedures. But all you have to do is read Twitter and things like that, and you'll learn that it's not enough. And if you're not doing, using Bayes analyses, well, then you're just not doing analyses, and so on. So there's a lot of differences of opinion. But the point is, we get a lot of training in these areas, but not much, if any, on, say, how to do open science. I know this is, say, a relatively new concept, perhaps, but in the research methods courses that we take, perhaps we're not sharing with people, well, here are certain approaches you can take to actually be more transparent and open during the entire research process. And here are some potential benefits of doing so, as well as some potential pitfalls of doing so, and then being able to make informed decisions as a researcher going forward. But technology today allows for open science practices. I keep going back to when I was young, but when I was in graduate school, the .com bubble was just, it was coming up, and the internet was used for things like shopping and pornography, and so now it's still used for pornography, of course, but a lot more. It's more interactive. Almost everyone here has a computer or a smartphone. It's part of our lives, and it's more than just, say, advertising and products. It really is kind of weaved into what we do every day, and it's fairly limitless in terms of what we can use it for. And people like Brian and so on put together the open science framework, and there's other options available too, of course, but none of them are giving away t-shirts here today. So I mentioned that earlier. We can ask, well, what to do? The idea is, well, let me say this. Just over a year ago, when I was talking to Ed Shen, he didn't believe me at the time. I just said one day, I'm like, well, I'm all in. That's it. We're going open science now in our lab. He's like, yeah, okay. But since then, we just started. Everything we did was open and transparent to the best of our abilities. And we kind of felt like this person here a little bit. Okay, we think we know where we want to go. How do we get there? And I had a first-year graduate student come in, and she's like, I'm trying to put together this disclosure statement, but what do most people do? What do they put in this? Because I'm just trying to think about how I should put it together. And I just looked at her and I said, well, most people don't do this. I've only done it a few times. What do you think should be in it? And we just worked it out. And that over working it out, talking to students, after a while, I started to think, this is maybe what it should look like, at least for us. But we didn't really know that going in. Kind of like bushwhacking. You make your own trail, and then you find out later where you went wrong. But hopefully you still end up where you wanted to end up. But then, I like to think of it as these are not problems. There's only solutions. We can figure it out. The Berlin air drop in the night after World War II. That was tough, but they figured it out. The Panama Canal, real tough. They figured it out. Sharing how we do our science, it is tough as well. But again, I think we can figure it out. Now, I know this may not look so good on the screen. This is just a screenshot. And I just wanted to share briefly what it is we've done in our own lab. And after doing it for about a year or so, and I call it organized open sciences, I was telling the same stories to undergraduate honors students who also have to do everything on the open science in our lab for their thesis projects, graduate students, postdocs, and others. And I'd kind of give the same story, then they'd go off, and then I'd look at what they put together, and it would go a little bit different each and every time. Like the telephone game, right? You whisper something, and it changes as it goes. And then I realized that we're not really standardized so much in our own lab. So I thought, well, here's what I'm going to do to kind of get our own lab more organized in how we approach being more open and transparent with our research projects. So right now, you could go on the OSF. This is a publicly available page. Just Campbell Lab research milestones, and actually the slides for this talk are on there now. This is just an older screenshot. So here you can see there's some templates we put together. The idea being, what information do we want to make available about our research project as we're doing the research itself, and for different types of studies, when they're more confirmatory, when they're more exploratory, when they're, say, replication studies, and so on. So basic information, just saying, here's what you might want to consider putting in this file, and separating it out, and I'll talk about those are in just a little bit. And then you can see here, Google Sheet, and I just created a Google Drive account. All my lab members have access to it so they can edit it, and it automatically gets updated here, so you don't have to keep deleting a file and changing. It just is always up to date on the OSF site, okay? And I'll show you what that looks like here. So again, this looks like a bit of a dog's breakfast, but it's just up on the page. But on the left-hand side, you just have a list of all of our research projects. Not all of them, but we're adding more as we go. It's taken a little bit of time. But you see, okay, and then we have project milestones, registration milestones, post-analysis milestones. This page serves to do two things for us, at least. Curate the information all in one spot, where it's all accessible, and serves as a checklist for everyone in the lab to say, okay, here's what we're doing. Have I done this yet? And they can click off yes or no. It curates the information by, we put a link up to the OSF project page. And for those of you who are more OSF pros, you understand the nuances between a project and a registration, and then of course components, and it's fairly easy to figure out. But the project page, you can delete it, you can add stuff, you can take stuff away. It's just, it's very fluid. So on this page, we have the link so you can go to it. We have, is it public, yes or no? So if it's not public, you can't go to it yet. If it is public, of course you can go to it. As you can see, we typically default to the yes option. I kind of default to say, just make it all public unless we have a really good reason not to, versus let's start off private and then convince ourselves why it should be public. I want to convince ourselves why it should be private. Then you see an ethics application. Every university is a little bit different, but I think we all have to put together an ethics application to get approval for doing this particular research, which usually involves answering a lot of weird questions, actually. Don't really seem to have anything to do with the safety of participants, but the safety of the university. That's beside the point. But we throw it up there for a couple of reasons. Maybe you want to do research on this topic, and maybe you're not sure how you should convince your ethics board to be able to use the procedures that we did. You can see how we did it. It's already there. It takes about 8 seconds to upload, so that's why we put it there. Then we have, you'll see some disclosure statements, and I'll talk about those in a moment. They're fairly straightforward, though. Study rationale and hypotheses, yes or no. Methods, procedures, and study scales, yes or no. Right, data analytic plan, yes or no. Participant recruitment plan, and that one's not applicable for all research designs, and I'll share with you ones that it may be. And then you see Qualtrics QSF file. And this was fairly new to me, but we use Qualtrics quite a bit. I know not everyone does, but a lot of people do. So you can export your QSF file, put it up, you can download it, put it into your own Qualtrics file, and it will completely reproduce our Qualtrics file. And now you don't have to type in all the scales. You can just take it. And now you can also cite it if you used it. Oh, citation, Campbell, blah, blah, blah. And we use their study scales. Thank you. And so now it just kind of also, let's say I drop dead tomorrow. You can go here and you can reproduce these studies at least without ever having to talk to me. Which some people might suggest is a desirable option, but it's going to be there hopefully in perpetuity. Is the point I'm trying to make. Registration milestones hasn't been registered yet, like as a pre-registration, or in some cases just let's just say pre-registration. So we see yes, and then there's the web link, so now you can go to it. And then lastly, post-analysis milestones. Have we placed the de-identified data on the project page? That doesn't necessarily mean it's publicly available, but have we placed it there? And yeah, I've had the problem of going back to data files and like, oh, which one is it? And then running code, why are those results not the ones in the paper? And then after an hour or so going, oh yeah, I did all those things. Okay, good, close, and then you go back a month later. Okay, which data file is it? Right. So the data files go up, analytic code. What is the syntax that we used for the program that we're using to get the results that we put in our manuscript? Again, I'm notorious over the years for just writing lots of different code and then going back and not having, I've altered it, so it's not the same code anymore, and I have to reproduce it. So why not make it there available so even I can find it later on? And then lastly, and you see this, the column's not very filled up here yet, post-analytic details on project page. Meaning, we said we're going to do X, we did X plus Y. What's the Y, and then why did we do that? So that's just taking a little bit of time. We'll move toward that in the future. So, and this is publicly available, and you can download this, and you can look at it in Google Drive, and put your arrow over those things and click and go to those project pages. Not that it might bore you to do that, but at the same time, it can be very helpful if you're interested in that research. Or I have graduate students or potential graduate students emailing, I'd like to come to graduate school. Can you tell me about all the projects that you're doing right now? I just send them a link. Yeah. Go ahead, check it out. And then I don't have to describe it anymore. And so it's been helpful. Undergraduate students who posted their honors thesis projects on here, when I write them letters of recommendation, I say, you can see this person's study and everything that they put together on the Open Science Framework, because we're learning about transparency and so on in the field. And now the people looking at to decide if they want to accept them into graduate programs get a sense of what they're doing and have more information about that student. I don't need to go through these in too much detail, but study rationale and hypotheses. Why are you doing what you're doing, and what are your hypotheses? As specific as you can be. Sometimes we can't be that specific. Other times we can. And even for exploratory studies, we put stuff up. Look, we're exploring here. We think this should come out. We're not sure exactly how, but here's some guidelines that we're going to use for our exploratory data analysis. Methods, procedures, and study scales. That's straightforward. What are your? A lot of the times we're actually writing our methods section before we have the data. So now we can just lift this and put it into a manuscript down the road. But methods, procedures, study scales. And I can tell you, sitting down, thinking about this a lot more with my students, since we kind of went more open science, more open science approach, has really forced us to actually think a lot more up front. Instead of just saying, put in those measures, it's like, well, why that measure? What are we going to do with it? What do we expect the results to look like with it? And it's really helped us refine our studies a lot more and actually make them smaller. Not just say, well, let's just give them 200 scales and then we have it, right? So we think about it a little bit more. And a list of all the study scales, just so they're there, plus the QSF file, so you don't have to reproduce it yourself. A data analytic plan, as specific as we can be, given the procedures that we've chosen to use, the scales that we've chosen to use, and particular hypotheses that we plan to test. How are we going to achieve that? More than just saying we expect these variables to be associated in some way, we now try to say we're going to run this particular HLM model, and we may expect this range of scores to come out. In other cases, we're like, we're not exactly sure, but here's the analysis we're going to do, and here's what we think we might find. So there's a lot of room for flexibility. Participant recruitment plan, if applicable. Some studies, like if I'm doing an NTERC study, participant recruitment plan, like We put it up on Enter. Like, it's not really complicated. But we're doing a study right now. It involves both partners of dating and or married couples. They're in this study for over a month. It's a diary study. There's an intervention at the midpoint of the study. One of the 3 experimental conditions do get a couple-oriented vibrator. Yes, it's on sexuality. So it's sometimes difficult to actually recruit participants. A lot of times the female partners are eager, and the male partners, when they hear about what it's about, are like, they're not so sure. So it's taking some time, and we really had to put a lot of effort into our data recruitment, our participant recruitment plan. So the postdoc was like, well, it might be valuable for other people if they want to do this kind of research to be aware of what we did to try to recruit participants. And so so it's actually quite the plan of all the different things that we're still doing actually. And post-analytic discussion, I kind of mentioned that one a little bit already in terms of what we plan to do and what we did do and why it deviated from that original, not kind of being sorry, I'm sorry, we did other things, as much as here's why we did those other things, just being a little more open about it. We haven't filled those ones in as much because the projects that are up there are just mostly ongoing. And in terms of data and code, again, I know this isn't completely clear, but I just wanted to throw something out. Now, this is a replication study. As part of a graduate class that I teach on research methods, I've changed it. No, we don't write essays anymore about a plan that you think you might want to do. Instead, we get into groups and we actually do a replication study. And in this particular class, this group of 4 students and myself working with them, we went through various options of studies that we'd like to try to replicate, picked one, worked with the original authors. They actually gave us their QSF file, which was brilliant, and gave us the ideas of putting it up ourselves. We ran the study 2 times with 2 large samples. And when this will be published in JESP soonish. And on the page, if you can see that, we have all the SPSS data files from study 1, study 2 combined, a syntax file, which is here. So you can run that syntax and hopefully reproduce all the effects that we reported in the manuscript. As a secondary benefit, one person will put it up, and another person on the research team will download the data, download the syntax file, run it independently, and check the manuscript. Did you get what I got, what I put in there? And guess what? We catch mistakes that way. So that's been helpful for us too, just for double checking. And then we can also say somebody else on the team actually looked at the data. It exists, and they're able to reproduce the results using this code. And then this is just from that same study. This was my first introduction to R, and so writing some code for a meta-analysis. So right now you can run this code in R, and you can reproduce our meta-analytic findings that are in that paper as well. Plus, if you don't have SPSS, the nice thing about R is you can suck these SPSS data files right into R and just start coding away. And they're there, they're publicly available. You don't have to download them. You can just write a line of code in R that says, go get that data file for me. It's on the OSF. Brilliant, right? So that's why I've been going in that direction myself. But we can also talk about, well, what else? What else could we be doing? I'm very intrigued, but I don't really know much about this blind analysis, though I would like to do that one later. And you might be able to find me at the free happy hour at the bar at 5:37. Just saying. In any event, the idea is you can do everything you need to do for your data analyses using your own data, but something's been done to it, so the results you're getting don't make any sense at all. It's gibberish. But it's all about setting up your syntax so that here are the analyses I want to run. And then once you're ready, somebody else lifts the blind, boom, you get your results. And then you can go on from there. It's really interesting. Methods videos. Now again, if you're just doing like, I don't really want to see a video of a guy sitting in a cubicle answering questionnaires for an hour. But let's say you're engaging, you're running a study that involves a very particular manipulation, like in person. And we're doing one right now as part of this replication study. So we're going to do a video, not a real participant, but a graduate student or the research assistant running someone through the experimental protocol, and then post the video in the OSF so you can see how we did it. And that can be valuable in a lot of instances because you can see what did the room look like, what did the person look like, how did they speak to the individual, how did they deliver the manipulation. So it's good for us as well for training purposes, and it could be good for everyone else. So we're just moving in that direction right now. Also, there's other resources available. There's actually more out there than you might think. It's just not centralized as much as we'd like. But the BITS, the Berkeley Initiative for Transparency in Social Science, I can point out, where is it? Well, registries, pre-analysis plans, reporting guides, repositories, and so on. There's a lot of tools there. Other individuals and folks have out there, say, templates to use, or here's what I'm doing, and they're just guidelines. Here, learn from this if you like, and make your own decisions about these things. Lastly, I only put this up here for everyone that's fans of Canadian politics, and particularly the 1984 election. Anyone else but me? No? Okay. Yeah, thank you. Woohoo! Long story short, the guy on the left, and wow, why do I forget his name? Anyways, the one, John Turner. I went to say John Tory, but he's the current mayor of Toronto. John Turner, the person who has the Arctic blonde hair there, and Brian Mulroney. Now, Turner was the current prime minister, not voted in per se. Trudeau had just stepped down after a long reign, and now we have Trudeau's son as our own prime minister. And it was with Trudeau, before he stepped down, he made a lot of patronage appointments. A lot of his buddies and chums and pals got lots of really good jobs. Mulroney had been kind of needling him on this during the election, saying you shouldn't, this is a waste, you shouldn't have done that. During this debate, Turner, and you have to, I actually have a clip, you can watch it. Turner's like, well, I didn't have an option. And the moderator starts to turn away, and Mulroney, the big chin guy, turns on him and says, you had an option, sir. You could have said no. You could have turned that around. You chose not to. You had an option. Boom. That was the smell of majority government. It was one of the biggest majorities in Canadian history, and not just because of that moment, but it was that when they talk about knockout blows in a debate, that's what they're referring to in Canada. Everyone knows that is a fan of Canadian politics. What's the point I'm trying to make here? You should all be, as my daughter says. Why do they call it North America? They should call it South Canada when she's talking about the United States. I agree. I guess this is my only, the strongest point I'll make when I put all this, because I'm not saying do this or here's how you should do it. I'm saying here's what I'm doing and why, and you can make your own decisions as researchers. We all have the option to adopt or not open research practices. The technology now exists. It's our choice. So if we're not engaging in these practices, in a way it's a choice to saying I choose not to. When deciding what option to choose, just ask yourself in any given study as well, it doesn't have to be for everything, is this the best choice for advancing scientific discovery, in my opinion? And then share your rationale with others. For me, I've said yes, and I shared my rationale for doing so. If you have legitimate reasons for saying no, I don't think that's valuable, then go ahead and share that as well. But I think going forward, we're in a position now where we have the technology, we have the options, and not doing it is a choice to not be open and to share all the details of the research process. So I respect any decisions that people end up making. I'm just sharing why I made the choice to be more open and transparent. And here's how we've done it. And it's been a fun process so far. And go ahead and watch the debate videos. I'm done.